Hello, my dear friend. Sit comfortably, wrap yourself in a warm blanket, and allow this day to slowly drift into rest. Do you hear the gentle crackling of the fire in the fireplace? It loves listening to stories just as much as you do. I am an old grandfather who has gathered many tales, legends, and memories in his heart. Tonight, I will share one of them with you. A quiet, unhurried story made especially for this evening. Let your breathing become slow and steady, your thoughts soft and light, and your eyes heavy with pleasant tiredness. Here, by the fireplace, there is no rush and no worry. There's only warm light, a calm voice, and a story meant to help you fall asleep. So listen, and allow this tale to gently guide you into the world of dreams. A quiet life of steel and prayer. Long before the world learned to hurry, before time was measured by clocks and numbers, there lived a knight whose days moved slowly, like the drifting of clouds across an open sky. He lived in a stone keep set upon a gentle rise of land, where the wind carried the scent of fields and forests alike. The walls were old, weathered by rain and sun, and softened by moss that clung patiently to every crack. Nothing here was new, and nothing needed to be. The knight rose each morning, not because he was commanded to, but because the world itself was waking. The chill of stone beneath bare feet reminded him that life was real, solid, and present. He did not curse the cold. He accepted it, as he accepted all things. Before armor ever touched his skin, before sword or shield entered his hands, he knelt. The words of prayer were not dramatic, nor were they desperate. They were quiet words, spoken so often that they no longer needed effort. Faith for him was not fire or thunder. It was repetition. It was trust in routine. It was knowing that the same words spoken yesterday could still be spoken today. When he stood, the day unfolded without haste. Armor was heavy, yes, but familiar. Each strap and buckle knew its place. He dressed not like a warrior preparing for glory, but like a man putting on work clothes. The steel did not make him feel powerful. It made him feel responsible. Outside, the keep breathed with life. Horses shifted in their stalls. A guard nodded silently. Somewhere a bell rang, not loud, not sharp, simply marking time as bells had always done. The knight walked the ground slowly. He observed more than he spoke. A loose stone in the wall, a gate hinge that needed oil, a young squire holding his shoulders too stiffly, trying to appear braver than he felt. There was training, of course. There always was. The body had to remember what the mind might one day hesitate to do. Sword met sword in steady rhythm. Movements repeated until thought was no longer required. Not for violence, but for control. Not to dominate, but to endure. Between these moments, life flowed quietly. He listened to the concerns of villagers who came seeking order more than judgment. A boundary disputed, a missing sheep, fear of wolves near the tree line. The knight did not promise miracles. He promised presence. Often, that was enough. He ate when hunger came, not when the clock demanded it. Bread, broth, meat when it was available. Meals were shared, words exchanged slowly. Silence was never considered awkward. Silence meant comfort. The world beyond the keep moved at its own pace. Fields bent under the wind. Birds settled and rose again. Seasons changed without asking permission. The knight understood this rhythm deeply. He did not try to command the land. He belonged to it. Sometimes he rode beyond the walls, not in search of trouble, but to remind himself of distance. The road stretched ahead, worn smooth by generations before him. He followed it without urgency, letting the horse choose its steps. Forests greeted him with shade and the soft scent of earth. Here, even sound felt older, as though it had learned patience long ago. When the knight hunted, it was never careless. Each movement was deliberate. Each life taken was acknowledged. Nothing was wasted. The act was not conquest, but balance, a quiet agreement between man and land. As the lights softened and shadows grew long, the keep welcomed him back without ceremony. Armor was removed slowly, with respect. Muscles loosened, breath deepened. Firelight filled the hall, not brightly, but warmly. Stories emerged, not to impress, but to remember. Tales of past winters, of storms survived, of men long gone, whose names still lingered in stone and memory. The knight listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, his words were simple, measured. He had learned that words, like steel, carried weight. Before rest, prayer returned, not as obligation, but as closure, gratitude for survival, for order, for another day lived without excess. When he lay down, the stone no longer felt cold. The body, tired but calm, accepted rest easily. Outside, the knight held the land gently. An owl called once. Wind moved through trees. Somewhere far away, a bell marked another passing hour. Tomorrow would come, as it always did, with its small duties, its quiet tests, its steady repetition, and the night would rise again, not seeking glory, not fearing obscurity, simply living one slow, faithful day at a time. The knight did not think of his life as remarkable. That thought never truly crossed his mind. He did not wake each day wondering what history would remember of him, nor did he measure his worth in songs or coins. His life was shaped instead by quieter things, the way stone held warmth after a long day, the sound of rain against the shutters, the steady comfort of habits repeated over many years. He had been young once, of course. There had been a time when his movements were sharper, his thoughts louder. He remembered that younger man now only faintly, as one remembers a distant season. Youth had carried urgency with it, a restless energy that asked questions before it learned to wait for answers. Time had taught him otherwise. Time had taught him that strength did not always announce itself, that endurance mattered more than speed, that faith did not need to be proven again and again, only practiced. He remembered the day he first took his vows. The weight of the sword had felt unfamiliar then, heavier than it truly was. The words spoken over him had echoed inside his chest long after the ceremony ended. Service, loyalty, protection. These were not promises meant for glory. They were meant for repetition. and repetition, he had learned, shaped a man more surely than any single act. Years passed not as stories, but as textures. Winters bit sharply at the fingers. Summers carried the scent of hay and sweat. Springs softened the land. And autumns taught release. Each season arrived without drama and departed without apology. The night learned to listen to the land the way one listens to an old friend. He knew when rain was coming by the way the air thickened. He knew when the forest was restless. He knew when people were afraid before they found the words to say so. Fear, he understood, was rarely about danger alone. Often it came from uncertainty, from the feeling that something was moving beneath the surface, unseen and unnamed. When fear came to the village, he did not dismiss it. He did not exaggerate it either. He stood with it, allowed its space, reminded people that fear, like darkness, loses power when it is acknowledged. There were nights when sleep came slowly. On those nights, he would lie awake and listen to the keep settling, to the distant murmur of wind, to his own breath, steady and patient. He thought of the men who had walked these halls before him, knights whose names were etched faintly into stone, worn nearly smooth. He wondered if they, too, had lain awake listening to the same sounds, feeling the same quiet weight of responsibility. Perhaps they had wondered, as he sometimes did, whether the world truly needed them, or whether it simply endured them. The question no longer troubled him as it once had. Need was a fragile thing, fleeting, but presence endured. Some days passed without incident, no disputes, no alarms, no messengers arriving breathless at the gate. Those were good days, not because they were exciting, but because they were gentle. On such days, the knight might walk alone along the outer wall, tracing the line of the land with his eyes. He would notice small things others overlooked, a bird nesting in the stonework, ivy slowly reclaiming a forgotten corner, the way sunlight changed color as it slid toward evening. These moments grounded him, anchored him to the present. He had learned long ago that life did not reveal its meaning all at once. It revealed itself slowly through attention. When night returned, as it always did, it brought with it a familiar stillness. Fires were banked low. Voices softened. The world seemed to exhale. The night found comfort in that exhale. He would sit sometimes near the hearth, not speaking, not thinking deeply, simply allowing the warmth to settle into his bones. The fire did not demand conversation. It asked only to be watched. In its flickering light, armor lost its severity. Stone softened. Even the sharpest edges seemed gentler. Eventually, the knight would rise, guided not by command, but by instinct. Rest had its own voice, a quiet one. When he lay down, he did so without ceremony, no struggle, no resistance. Sleep was not an escape. It was a continuation. And in sleep, the world did not disappear. It merely grew quieter. Breath slowed, muscles released. Thoughts drifted without urgency. The same land, the same walls, the same sky remained, watching over him as they always had. Tomorrow would come. Not suddenly, not violently, just gently, and he would meet it as he had met every day before, with steadiness, with patience, with a heart shaped not by legend, but by time. And now, my dear friend, as this story gently comes to an end, allow the last words to fade like embers in the fireplace. There is nothing more you need to do tonight. Nothing more you need to think about. Let the quiet settle around you. Let the warmth stay with you. And let your dreams arrive slowly, softly, in their own time. I will sit here a little longer, listening to the fire, keeping watch as you rest. You are safe. You are calm. And tomorrow can wait. Sleep peacefully. Sleep deeply. And may your dreams be gentle and kind.